episode of the Buffalonian podcast is brought to you by the Cast Source Podcast Network, a podcast network built with and for entrepreneurs. Cover many genres, including sports, business, mental health, marketing, and entertainment. Feature the podcast shows such as Sports Bring People Together, Limitless, Savers of the Metaverse, and The Athletic Mindset. Learn more at castsource.com/podcast. And without further ado, let's get into the Buffalonian podcast. The Buffalo Bills have already fired their safety coach. And the Buffalo Sabres have made quite a run this past week. And it's a great week to be a Sabres fan. Along with the Would You Rather, hot takes, trivia, and more, this is the Buffalonian Podcast. All right, let's go. We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Callie, and as always, I'm joined by Dom Loss and Mike Marino. Dom,
can I just say that was impeccable timing?
I was about to say, I couldn't tell if I joined. I couldn't tell if I joined and you guys. I don't know. I was I saw the thing. I was I wonder if it's Frozen, and then started playing. I was oh man.
Yeah, talk about the impeccable timing. No other word to describe that. I mean, that couldn't be better. Dom had a family dinner, got here in time. Look at that to kick it off. So, yeah, we're back. And after a somber episode on Monday, we're gonna run into the Bills a little bit. But before we do, I kind of wanted to play this clip. Dom, I told Mike what it was about. This is gonna be.
Man, I'm going in blind. I'm excited.
You're going in blind. It's a Nick Wright clip, So we're gonna see what happens. All right. So we'll be back in about a minute. But I just wanted to start off the Bills talk by throwing this up there. So, we'll go from there.
Them because those elements are so rare for Buffalo, New York, for a team that looked like it could not play in them. However, this is a tough day for a team that has been to 4 Super Bowls, 1-0 in this regime that has done nothing other than once get blown out in an AFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. So in honor of those 4 Super Bowl appearances, let's hang what could be their 4th Super Bowl banners. Here we go. Drop the first banner, if you would, please. They deserve it. Guys, the 2022 preseason favorites. They can never take that from you, Buffalo. Drop the next banner, if you would, please. Let me see this one. Oh, it's got to come down. Hey, you briefly, allegedly, temporarily had QB1 in the league. Now, at best, it's QB3 in his own conference, but that's neither here nor there. Now, the most important banner for him, because this one mattered a lot when it happened.
Weapons coming out of there, man.
Buffalo Bills, you beat the Chiefs in October. And now the last one, and the most impressive one. Back-to-back AFC semifinals.
That actually doesn't look bad.
They're back.
Coming back from that right there. That was I don't know. It's just the media turned, and granted Nick Wright never really has been on the Bills hype train and whatnot, but a lot of the national media has turned on what the Bills were and whatnot. But just seeing that came out literally the day after the game occurred and whatnot. So that was salt in the wound right there.
I mean, but though honestly, I'm
not 100% wrong.
I don't like Nick Wright really at all. I mean, some of the stuff non-Bills is all right, but I think it's hard to say that he pointed out any flaws or
right.
I mean, it's kind of hard to be no. I mean, it's kind of in the NBA, I guess, for a comparison, Memphis used to be an up-and-coming team that everyone loved, and now that they got to a conference semifinals, barely lost to Golden State, and then they talk all their smack and stuff. Now it feels like everyone, including the national fans, kind of turned on them. I feel like the Bills are kind of in the same aspect of they were, for this 3-year stretch, been very good. I mean, they've won a lot of football games. I think 37 or something is the total. But
right
at the end of the day, your resume is your resume. And they've only been to one conference championship game, which they got smoked in. I mean, they also went to the divisional round last year and lost maybe the game of the century so far in the but at the end of the day, you kind of are what you are, and I think it's hard for a Bills fan, but I do think like the national media, when they get bored of a team per se, they start to turn on them. It's kind of like the Packers. They were really good. I mean, you see the Packers, like they kind of like made a couple NFC Championship games, but they could never get over the hump. And now you see it like this year specifically, like if all the Rodgers stuff finally catch up to them, like everyone took their shots at them. I wonder if that's. I'm not saying the Bills are going to go 8-9 next year, but like I do wonder if we somehow see maybe like a 10-7 but wild card team. I wonder, like, I think everyone's going to really turn on them.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Being a Bills fan, it's tough to watch a video like that where you're getting, slandered and whatnot, but you're absolutely right in the sense where it wasn't like he was pulling stuff out of nowhere. Like that, those are real things that happened, and really the only things that happened this season. I mean, we were preseason favorites to win the Super Bowl. Going into the bye week, Josh Allen was quarterback one in the NFL, roughly. You know what I mean? Like the guy was on fire. We did beat the Chiefs in October. That was a good one. And from whatever they said back, we lost the divisional round twice. So I mean, there's nothing really on there. It's not. I think it's just the Josh Allen hate train. I think more or less, not the Josh Allen, but the Bills, but and whatnot. I don't know, Mike. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean it's all true, like what he said, but like obviously he hates the Bills and like he's gonna rub it in our faces and make a spectacle out of it. And plus they're in the media, so they gotta make it interesting. I mean, look at what Stephen A did to Michael Irvin. He was like screaming in his face when the first take turned on, and it's like they're gonna do whatever they can do to get people to watch it because, well, as much as we hate to hear it, we just watched it. We gave him attention. We gave him
right, yeah,
the attention he wants. So that's really at the end of the day what they're trying to do. Like they'll say anything they can in order to get views and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just let's move away from that. All right, let's move away from someone else's.
But I will say this though. I will say this though.
Okay.
Him being a Chiefs fan, he's starting to become a little bit like those 08 Celtics teams that they won one ring, and they talk a lot about like winning one championship. Like if somehow Cincinnati knocks off Kansas City, like congratulations for making 5 straight AFC Championship games. Or is it 5 straight? Yeah, it's 5 straight.
It'll be 5 straight.
Yeah, but then you'd have a losing record in those games, and you've gotten the 2 Super Bowls get destroyed in one, and the other one against Jimmy G. Like I'm not trying to downgrade the Chiefs or anything, but at the same time, like.
No, we could do the same thing.
I'm just saying, like, if the Chiefs, like, all the pressure's on the Chiefs. If they fail again, it's like you guys are really going to be like that team that has one ring and really talks like there's some dynasty. When, I mean, you're just not.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be a dominant team in the regular season, but the postseason is a whole different ball game. But
I think we're learning that as a Bills, little bit as Bills fans.
Yeah, quite a bit as Bills fans. Let's just say, especially since the McDermott McBean regime has rolled in, but let's move away from, like I said, someone else's thoughts. And we filmed the final betting on the Bills episode of the season a couple days ago, right? That was fresh in our minds a day after we filmed. And, emotions were high at the time. I think they've settled a little bit here. Not 100%, but they've settled. What are some thoughts? Now, clearer thoughts you have coming out of the emotional heartache and whatnot.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of still feel the same as in we played bad. We honestly deserved to lose that game because they just outplayed us from the opening kickoff. I think just it really opened our eyes that now, I saw a thing that like Jordan Poyer, his Twitter thing was like the 98 Bulls. So now that gets you speculating. Is he thinking, was that our last dance, or is he going to try and do one more year, get Micah back healthy, get Vaughn back healthy? He'll be back on a franchise tag or something.
I know maybe them firing the safeties coach got him all excited.
Maybe he's been there since the start of McDermott. But no, I mean, I think just we got outplayed, and it showed that we've been talking about it since our first show. I think that these are our flaws, and they did not do anything to really improve the flaws, and that's where we got exploited. Our offensive line was weak all year for the past few years now. It really has been a weak spot. Didn't do anything to improve it, and well, we just got manhandled. Our defensive line, like we get all these top prospects, our top picks are all these defensive ends, and we expect Von Miller to come in it definitely would have been a different game with Von Miller, no doubt about it. But Greg Rousseau, he needed to step up. Ed Oliver needed to step up, and they didn't do anything.
No.
And then just the offense in general was just Josh Allen. That was it. It was like all the weight was put on him, and you can't do that. Like, I know he's in the prime of his career. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, one of the best athletes in the league, but that doesn't mean he can do everything. Like, you need people to help him.
Yeah. I mean, when he's bleeding through his sleeves about 4 weeks in a row now, I mean, that kind of is evident where the problems are. You know what I mean? He's getting a lot of that Dolphins game. He was sacked 7 times. Like that's absolutely unreal. The fact that, and Dawkins got bullied
under pressure nearly 50% of the time.
Exactly. So, I mean, you can only expect so much from his athleticism, but as we said on Monday, he covers a lot of the flaws up. And when they neutralized him, like the flaws are right there. We saw. I mean, it's just interesting. I've seen a couple people talking about the fact if you stuck him in Kyle Orton's position all those years ago, would we be in the same position of just making it to the playoffs every year and not making it all the way? And
if you put an average QB instead of Josh.
No, if you put Josh on that, like the team in 2014 when Orton was on it, like when EJ, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, better now.
Well, our team all around is better now, I would say, but still, like Josh carries quite a bit necessarily. Like that's kind of
obviously upgrading from Orton, who's an average quarterback, to an elite quarterback, franchise quarterback would make quite the jump. But I think, like, for me, since Monday, I don't think a lot's changed on like personnel wise what I feel like they should do. Like, I think Mike alluded to it, like the offensive line, defensive line. Like, it feels like they did a lot in certain positions. They did a lot of tape, and now it's time for them to invest in like cement or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, no, they put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. I mean, that's pretty much
it's time for them to go into surgery and kind of like take out all the like it's time for them to do some kind of stuff. But for me, I think I'm like slightly more concerned than I was Monday from the fact of I feel like we're not going to get any major changes, it seems like. And I think that's a mistake. Because like I've been a Leslie Frazier supporter for a very long time. But like reading the stat, like the 3 losses that they've had the last 3 years, they've given up nearly 460 yards, 30 plus points. Like, and then if you really look at it from like a whole playoff perspective of like, okay, Jacksonville, they gave up 10 points, they lost, but that was a good defensive performance. Houston, really good first half, shut them out. Second half, they just completely fell apart defensively. In 20, they didn't play that well against the Colts. They kind of got, I don't want to say lucky because it's the NFL, but they probably really didn't even deserve to win that game. Baltimore's like the one like crown jewel of his playoff calling. The one that we all thought was going to get him a job because like Lamar played. I think they were comparing like Dak Prescott's performance against the Niners compared to other quarterbacks, like in terms of like expected points added or whatever. And like at the bottom of the list is Lamar against the Bills that year. And I was like, well, I remember them dominating that, but that was his best. And then the 2 Chiefs games, they got drilled. The Patriots game, like the Patriots are a running team. So when your offense scores touchdown to touchdown, like your defense naturally like can play to their weakness. So I don't know how much credit he should get for that. And then, the Dolphins game, I'll say was good, but from a perspective of you're playing against not great opponent, like great talent. And then, Sunday was a pretty poor day. Like, I just feel like they didn't. I feel like a way to help out your pass rush would be to play some press man, and they just decided they weren't wanting to get beat deep. But like you're playing in like really bad weather. Not great weather to throw the ball deep. Like I feel like I don't know. It's one of those situations where like also you look at they gave up 7 first drive touchdowns or opening drive touchdowns from the offense. Like, yeah, they were one of the best teams at adjusting, but obviously they didn't adjust against the Bengals. But how is your defense so easily like scripted against? How could every week someone comes in with 15, 20 plays, and if they know if they execute their 15, 20 plays, they're going to easily get 7 points on you. Like that to me is a concern.
No, I would 100% agree with that. And I think, we've seen it this year. We saw it last year in those, let's look at the Colts game from last season, right? Where they absolutely murked us at home. Like there was no question. They knew coming in there about our run defense, right? Which granted this year was better, not in last Sunday's game, right? Joe Mixon went crazy on us. But you're absolutely right in the fact that there clearly is a game plan most of the time with 15 plays for these other teams, and you see it. Where Dorsey, I mean, let's just talk offensively. It's 4 verticals pretty much on 3rd and 4. Like that. Like that's. I saw a tweet yesterday. Ken Dorsey's Twitter bio. My playbook's written in yellow crayon because it shines so bright. Like all this stuff. Like I don't know. It was something along those lines about. And then it showed Madden just 4 verticals only page in the playbook. So I think offensively and defensively. But then again, Frazier's had a lot of time, right? He's had success with the Bills, but we've seen 2 years in a row now in the divisional round, right, where you got to adapt. You can't just hang on to nickel zone the whole time when it's clearly not working. You know what I mean? Like we saw him do it in the Chiefs game this year. He had half the field in zone, half the field in man, like confusing Mahomes. Where was that in any of these games? I don't know. But Frazier's definitely, for me, should be on the hot seat. But like Dom said, my confidence is going down that any change is actually going to be made.
Well, like my frustration part of that too was that like I just feel like in these big games they constantly coach really scared.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not like they blitzed Burrow a lot, which wasn't a great strategy, but like we saw it with the 13 seconds. Like Tyreek Hill scored that touchdown, and anyone could tell you probably. I mean, you're not in there, but 13 seconds. Like they were afraid that somehow Tyreek Hill was going to get loose and they were going to lose the game on some play very similar to what happened 20 yards, and then all of a sudden he burnt one false step and he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up costing them a chance to the AFC Championship game. And like it's frustrating from that perspective of a defense that I think all of us love, like the bend but don't break model against the I don't know, the Texans or like the bad teams that can't do that. Like there's some bad offenses when you play them that they're going to eventually shoot themselves in the foot. But when you play an elite offense and you're giving them 6 yards, as much as I love Taron Johnson, like as him playing your third linebacker, like if you run the ball at him, he's good run defense for a DB, but he's 190 pounds. Like that's what the Bengals were doing, and So I think that's the frustration of like this wasn't never a great tackling team, and I feel like their game plan was we're gonna keep everything in front of us and tackle. But I think the clip that's been sent around a lot on Twitter of the 3rd and 4, I think they're in the red zone and they have like a huge blitz and Trey's like 6 yards off the line of scrimmage or whatever it is, and they throw it to Chase 2-yard stop route and he runs for the first down, and it's like, the reason why that play doesn't work is because Trey's not a great tackler, and this isn't a great tackling team. So like you put yourself in a disadvantage when you allow playmakers to easily get the balls in their hands, and then it's 1v1. And rarely, if ever, Jamar Chase is gonna get tackled by the first guy, especially 4 yards when he needs 4 yards for the first down.
Right, and I mean, Frazier for sure, right? Like we've been talking about. I feel like McDermott's got a hand in this too, being defensively minded, and you know what I mean, like the way he likes to run his team. The whole. Listen, we've trusted the process, and the process has gotten us to multiple failures in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm all for trusting the process, but at the same time, look at all the 7 other teams that played in the divisional round, offensive-minded head coaches, right? And I'm not saying fire McDermott. I'm not going to hop on that train, but I'm just saying, like, questions, if this next season doesn't really make any improvements, whatnot, questions need to start being asked, because Zach Taylor came in with a plan and knew exactly what to do to cut up this defense, has, you know what I mean, the knowledge and talent on the offensive side to be able to do that, where I feel like we lost that a little bit with Dable, but Dorsey again is just kind of learning. But I don't know. It's just, I feel like after, I don't want to say and manifest this happening, if there is another bad year where we lose in the divisional round off of awful deep, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that, or even in the AFC championships, just get blown out. I think the head coach needs to be called into question in some aspect, because it's been what, 6 years now, 5 years. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, going on to year 7 after.
Going on to year 7. So I mean, it's just like, I remember when we picked him up, how good the team was starting to look up when we added Diggs. 2020 Bills brings tears to my eyes how good that team looked. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think we lost a step losing Dable, but I hope that helps. But I think we gotta call it into question if it fails another year. You know what I mean?
No, I agree with there. I think we've hit, it seems like a lot of times when coaches get hired, you see like the incline And I'd say like 2020, 2021, we're at like that peak, you know? I would say this year, like the second half and the playoffs, you can tell that maybe it starts to teeter. And I would say maybe 2023, you start to see a little bit of a decline. Not saying like they're going to miss the playoffs or anything, but like,
Well,
maybe they're
yeah.
like 11-6 or like 10-7, like you were saying earlier. I think in order to prevent that, they need to make the changes now instead of keep going down and then you're at like 8-9, 7-10, and then you really got to start over. So I'd say you got to
Right.
readjust now while you still have, you still have a Josh Allen, you still have a Diggs, you still have all these players that are good, but you're also losing a lot of players that are going to be good. So you can tell that it's the way down. It's just how do we prevent it being such a steep drop off? Like how do we get it so that maybe we can plateau a bit and head back up rather than just continuing going down?
Right.
I like listen. In any sports league, you have to be proactive. Like you have to make decisions before the decisions have to be made. And last year, everyone was going for Freezer's head. They scapegoated the special teams, coach. They were like, it's his fault. I mean, basically scapegoated him. This year, like I have to be honest. I'm gonna be a little bit sick if all the top heads stay. Like someone's head's got to fall for this. Like you can't scapegoat another year because then
They're scapegoating the safety coach. They fired him. They said it was his fault.
That's what I'm saying, like you can't scape because like next year if you fail again, like at this point, like I mean, like I just feel like that it just you wasted a year of like if you look at why this team failed and like health is definitely a part of it. I think everything that happened off the field is definitely part of it. So like yeah, I think in 23 if they have a more normal year, I think we'll have a better grasp. But at the end of the day, they have so many assets on the defensive side of the ball. And for them to consistently fail in the postseason, it's nothing other than the scheme and the coaching. Like that's what you had to point to. So you had to fix it. It's not like, oh, we had to add X player or Y player. Like honest to God, like their 22 defense player wise is gonna look very similar. Other than it might be minus Jordan Poyer and minus Tremaine Edmonds, and they might have to find some replacement for those. The core is gonna stay the same there. Like you're gonna have the same type of guys. It's now like the coaching I think has to fix. Like for the offense, like as Joe alluded to, defensive coach, like it puts so much more pressure on your offensive coordinator to be very good because it's not like there's another person in the organization that has like the offensive wizardry. It's not like Eric Bieniemy is a really good coordinator, but he also has Andy Reid that he could fall back on. I'm not saying Sean McDermott doesn't know anything about offense, but he's a defensive coach. So like
it's different than having Dable back there for sure.
Yeah, so that's where like I think I'm okay with Dorsey having a second year because we saw some improvements. I know it wasn't good in the playoffs, but my opinion is the play calling is going to be improved on over this year. And I believe that a main problem with the offense, well, yes, the deep shots and all that, is that they have devoted those of the offensive assets. So I feel like if they spent the offseason of getting some assets there, like the core of Allen and Diggs are going to stay the same, but after that, it's kind of like, yeah, Dawkins, maybe Morris, but then like you probably have to add like another, like obviously they paid Knox to be a core player, and Davis is there too. But to me, they need to add another core piece where I think the defense kind of has its core intact. It's a coaching problem.
Yeah. No, and then I know I brought this up like, I don't know, a few weeks ago or whatever, that like with the injuries, we didn't have really a slot game at all. And when we saw Allen was successful, it was because he was throwing to Beasley over the middle and he had that like safety blanket. Or, like we didn't really shift anyone to be that slot guy. Like you would think maybe that they would adjust, get Knox involved, you give him all that money, and he really didn't change his role at all. We saw like how much they incorporated Diggs at the first half of the year, and then the second half he kind of just became invisible. Like, I think he was adjusting to try and fix, the flaws of their offense, but I don't think it worked. I think injuries was a big thing of why our offense was like struggling. I think if Jameson Crowder had a full year, he would have actually produced really well. I mean, We've seen when Dayball was here, we had John Brown and Cole Beasley, two guys who aren't the biggest names, but John Brown put up 1,000 yards and Cole Beasley was arguably the best slot receiver in football. So, I mean, I think that was really noticeable, especially for Josh, because a lot of times he just tried to throw it deep or run.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of throwing it deep on third and short these past couple of weeks. I will say that. It's tough because you see, I don't know. I don't want to hang back on the Dable thing very much, but you see Daniel Jones, right? He threw 5 interceptions this year. Granted, you have Saquon Barkley in the backfield, so you have you've got better stuff there. But I mean, I feel like
I'm gonna stop you right there. Josh Allen threw this what did he throw 14 picks or 15 picks this year?
14
Yeah, he
this
threw
year,
15
15
He
last
threw
year.
15. He threw 15 last year.
Yeah,
And I know so like I can understand what you're saying. He was still a gunslinger of Dable.
no, yeah, absolutely.
Like
And
Daniel Jones, like I can understand what you're saying, like, oh, Daniel Jones had all these turnovers and now he only had 5 picks. But that's also like he had to baby down a bunch of stuff for Daniel Jones. Like Josh could do he opened
right.
Yeah, I mean like he had to
He opened the
contain
playbook. Daniel Jones closed it a little bit. Yeah. No,
Yeah, so
I got
that's
you.
why I don't love that comparison, but it just this offense needs another dude. Like they need another guy because like if you saw I saw a chart on Twitter with like all like the expected points added to like receivers, and Diggs was like number 1, like the entire league is 74, and then like it's a massive drop off to Knox, who's like 25, like 25 expected points.
Yeah.
And then Davis is right in the same area, and you can't tell me like those dudes shouldn't be like those dudes should be higher. And the point with those guys is that they just weren't used properly. Like
Right.
their roles were not, they were underutilized. But it's also like this is where like you have to either I like Khalil Shakur, and I do feel like he needs to be more involved in the offense. But at the same time, Khalil Shakur is not stopping me from potentially getting an elite slot receiver.
Yeah.
Like if the Raiders want to trade Hunter Renfrow, if Jackson Smith-Jigba, the Ohio State wide receiver, who honestly people might not think he's going to go in the first round. I know Tom McShay is like completely bashing him over and over again. Many people think he's like just going to be a slot guy. Like, I mean, listen, I'll take him in the slot. I know he probably going to run like a 4.6. I don't need a deep threat. I need an elite route runner that can get open quick. Let Gabe Davis be the deep threat. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's where I'm at. So
yeah,
and then the offensive line is the offensive line, but
yeah, no, that's its own other. That could have its own podcast dedicated to itself on how to fix the offensive line. But I agree with you. We had Emmanuel Sanders last year, right? Who was not at the peak of his career necessarily, but I mean, he was still solid. Solid wide receiver 2 to Diggs, number 1, and Davis was that deep shot guy. You know what I mean? And he came in clutch when you needed him, and clutch Davis, and that was really. It was a good. There was a good environment there with those 3 guys, and I think putting Davis into the wide receiver 2, while he definitely can do it. It's just the inconsistency killed this year. You know what I mean? Like his catching, and whatnot. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what moves they make. Definitely need to see some offensive, maybe some drafting offense, like an offensive line.
I do wonder if we hear that like Gabe Davis has ankle surgery. I'm just speculating, but like I just would like assume that like his ankle was like screwed up the entire season.
Really?
I mean? Well, like I mean, he missed that time in the beginning, and then there was like videos like a month later of him like limping around in practice. I'm not saying it could still maybe I'm not like it's not.
Maybe he had an Achilles issue or something. We never know.
I just think he had like probably an ankle, and it's hard to play wide receiver on a bum ankle. So I do wonder if maybe he gets like some, I don't know. I think that would be kind of an interesting thing to look at if that happens. But if he wasn't healthy all year, but yeah, I think they need to add another weapon, and then like they just need to pour a bunch of resources in the offensive line. But then they also, like as I said Monday, like this is what made me mad about the Brandon Bean conference, is that for whatever reason, like this team just doesn't, as much as I love McBean, they really don't seem like they hold themselves accountable all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, you trade Naheem Hines, and he goes, yeah, he wasn't really using the offense. Like, I was like, are you guys that disconnected that you traded Zach Moss, who I know is not good, but you traded a 6th round pick that, you showed that you could draft late in the draft. Like, you traded that for a special teamer eventually, like, because he wasn't used. Just like, I don't understand how that happens. And then the comment about like, I don't want to suck bad enough to get a Jamar Chase. Like, I could agree with that, but at the same time, like, we don't need a Jamar Chase, and there's plenty of dudes that are available, that will be available at 27, that could be like a T. Higgins that Cincinnati has. But like, we've also are the team that's passed on AJ Brown and DK Metcalf for Cody Ford. So it's not like there aren't dudes available like that the Bills just haven't drafted.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It's tough because, the city, everything that has happened, this year. But I saw a TikTok today going through the Bills records over the past since 2000. Like, it's just like it's about time at this point. Like we got to make something happen. Especially Josh Allen is getting older. He's 26 years old. You know what I mean? He's not. Granted, that's not old, but at the same time, you're not looking at, a, a straight up draft pick anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's tough. That's truly it. It's just tough after losing the game like that, where we were just outperformed in every aspect pretty much. But I don't know. I mean, anything else you want to talk about, Bill? I'm getting back into the emotional, the discourse here. You know what I mean? But
I think it'll be very interesting this offseason to follow the other teams in the AFC East and see what they do. Because
there's already rumors of Brady and Rodgers coming, Dolphins and Jets.
I just think there's part of me believes that the rest of the AFC East smells blood in the water. So,
especially the Dolphins. Well, they live in the water, so.
I mean, the Jets just got Hackett, so
yeah,
I think it's going to be very interesting to see if Lamar gets moved. Where does he get moved? If Rodgers gets I think we have to start paying attention to that stuff. Because I think it's going to be interesting. I think there is going to be an arms race starting the AFC East. And listen, the Bills don't have a lot. They don't have a lot of high value picks. They have obviously their picks in the first round, but they don't have a lot of high value picks, and they don't have cap space. So it's going to be up to Brandon Beane to be able to find, ways to patch up this roster to make it better. But the core is going to stay the core. I think that's
right.
That's the one thing I don't like about the fans is that I don't know who they think they're going to trade. Everyone's like DeAndre Hopkins or all that. I was like, no, dude. If you want a wide receiver, they're going to trade for Hunter Renfrow. They're not going to trade for a top 10 guy. They're going to trade for some, that kind of a tier 4 receiver at best, tier 5.
Maybe OBJ resurfaces after he gets his knee figured out.
But that's what I'm saying though. People think we're gonna get a tier 1 wide receiver or tier 2. It's no, dude. You got a point. The only position I will say that I think significant assets, and I would be okay if they spent significant assets, is the offensive line. Obviously, I think they need to add another weapon. They patch some stuff up defensively, but I feel like they could do that maybe with the first round pick and other stuff. I'm okay if they spend some money on the offensive line because Josh Allen, as you said, is getting older. I know he's only 26, but my man in his first 5 years has taken an absolute beating.
Look at Cam Newton.
Yeah, I don't want him to become. And he also already dinged up his arm significantly enough where I think it really impacted his play. For 1 year, and I don't think you could allow that to happen again. Especially if you're going to start losing guys because of his cap hit. Especially if you're going to start losing guys, so your rest of your team's not going to be as good. You can't afford your best player to go down.
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree with you. It's definitely we got to reevaluate some things. I think I might honestly. I kind of want to hear what we were talking about going into this year. I might have to listen back to our draft episode from last year, our pre-draft episode. So just to see what we were talking about, because I'm trying to think, did we talk heavy offensive line or were we all about? I think I was all about the cornerback. I think I was all about
corner. I think we were all corner, maybe whiteout.
Look how that turned out. So I mean,
I look at it from the perspective of last year's draft could potentially be pretty decent if the coaches develop guys, but at this point, I really don't have any faith that they're going to do that because it's right. I mean, it's been since 2018 that I felt like
O-line.
And Pro Bowl, All Pro, they really haven't.
When we lost Eric Wood and Richie Incognito, I mean that's
true. I mean, Albert hasn't developed into that guy. The only person that's really, he's above average. Groot's above average. There's no elite. I think that's. I think the Bills need it's all right. I think they need to get a couple starters in this draft, but it'd be really nice if they could get one, maybe two elite players.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how this stuff plays out for the next couple of weeks and, just where the Bills end up and what they end up doing. Hopefully Brandon Beane, Micah Parsons, I know chirped back at him what he said and whatnot, but
No,
I
he
don't
agreed
know.
with him. He just thought it was interesting.
Oh, did he actually? I thought he
Yeah,
chirped.
he chirped back on like the people that were roasting him because of Dak.
Oh, I gotcha.
I will say this though, there's
You-
players every round in the position of need that the Bills like could do to get better. Like last year, Abe Lucas was available in like the 3rd round for Seattle. He's a solid right tackle. Like he was a very good right tackle this year for Seattle. Like there's gonna be dudes available in the first 3 rounds. The Bills have to go 3 for 3 this draft. Like there's just no. I mean, at least 2 for 3. But like they really ideally need to go 3 for 3 and get 3 good starters.
Right. No, I 100% agree. And again, it's a long wait until that. It's a long wait till football season now, or a Bills
lot
season.
of pod to go over, people.
Yeah. So you got plenty of episodes incoming regarding the Bills and their decisions. But I just want to say one more thing before we move on to a more uplifting topic in the Buffalo Sabres. Just out of pocket real quick. Fuck Eli Apple. That's all I gotta say. That's it. And before we move into the Buffalo Sabres topic, I just want to bring up the Sports Bring People Together podcast. You should listen for entrepreneurial conversations with those in sports. And who knows where the chats will take you, but sports got us all here together in the first place. Find this show wherever you listen to podcasts or simply visit sportseplus.com.
And we are back here with the Buffalonian podcast. Obviously, we ended maybe a little bit more cheerful Bills talk. Maybe not. Still probably a little.
I think we dove back in a little bit.
Salt in the wound, maybe, but we're still going out here. Now we're talking about the Sabres talk, and I gotta say, I was nearly right on my prediction.
You were
4-0 instead of 3-1. What a week to be a Sabres fan.
Yeah, you'd love to see the points coming in, especially with where we're at in the standings. I mean, it's just it's really cool. I mean, I don't know. I'm excited. I get excited watching this team. It's just, it's different than the Bills. But we're Sabres people now. The city of Buffalo Sabres people now. Let's go.
I think this is what we hoped for at the beginning of the year, to see improvement, to see that they're in at least contention to be a wild card team. And I think right now we're in a better spot than what I expected us to be in. I mean, we're already at the end of January, and you see that we're only 3 points out of a playoff spot with 3 games in hand over Washington. So, I mean, like that's really good for the Sabres. I would say this year we have been a little streaky. We've had stretches where we played really good, and then there's those stretches where we played bad, but just be more consistent there. I don't see why this team couldn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean they're currently 8th in point percentage, point percentage. I don't know if it's point percentage. I don't think it's called point percentage, but so technically at the playoffs ended right now, they technically would be in the playoffs. From that perspective, but obviously you have to get more points than the other team for a full 82. But no, I think anyone that would really predicted this was I don't know. Like I feel like betting. Like I mean, I would say I've always been really cautiously optimistic. Like I think I predicted 84 points in the beginning of the year, but like then I predicted 90 points, and now it's kind of like, do I predict more than 90 points? Like it's a weird spot to be in because it's such a young team, and then every week it seems like it's a different dude. Like I don't want to spoil anything, but like this is the second straight week that Olsen's led the team in goals, but like there's a bunch of other teams that have scored. It's a fun team to watch, as Joe alluded to, and they're not like they're beating good teams right now, and they're playing well. And all 4 games they played pretty well. I know the Dallas game was kind of they kind of got fortunate to take the 2 points there, but I would say the other 3 games they were easily the better team, especially that Islanders game. That would have been we almost got Sorokined. That would have been really annoying. But I mean, see the Islanders I think are 1-7-2 in their last 10, so they're falling out. You just gotta wonder, like, I don't think it's gonna be the Penguins, but like the Caps, older team, like the thing that would concern me for a Sabres fan, I want to know what you guys think, because part of me thinks with this stat of the Sabres have the hardest schedule pretty much left in the NHL, like they're number 1. Part of me goes, man, it's gonna be really fun, like stretch, but part of me also goes, this is the time for them to add reinforcements.
Yeah,
like I know I've been anti so far. They should like I've been anti they should buy. I've been pretty much they should buy and sell. Now I'm kind of like I feel like they should keep Olofsson and Middlestat because they're playing well with Yost, and I think they should add on top of that.
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. I think especially now because if you don't remember, someone on the show said they were going to the Cup this year. I think they sneak in and still make it. You know what I mean? Personally, I'd love to see it, but I think we do have to add on top of it, especially. How about some defense, or maybe go after a goaltender? You know, for the remainder of the season, just something like that, and bank on Levi when he comes. But it's all but confirmed he's
Okay. Well, Levi's not playing in the NHL for a few years, even if he signs. Like he'll be in Rochester.
Yeah.
So
Right.
definitely goaltender. But yeah, no, I agree with the defense. I know there's been reports that were linked to Timo Meyer, and I don't really think that's necessary because I don't see where would he fit in the top 6? Like you're not breaking up the kids line or the top line.
I don't know. I do think it's interesting. I don't know. It's always been interesting because it's always been kind of like you probably have, if you look at their cap, like Cousins is probably going to get 7.5. Dahlin's probably going to get some number, not next season because he's still under, but like the next season he's probably going to get something like 10,
11.
Yeah, 10 or 11. Power. I will say this with Power though is that Power is like that RFA where he can't get offered by another team. So technically the Sabres have like all the power against him. So I'm not saying they wouldn't want to sign him to like
No pun intended.
Thank you. That was good. But that might be that number might come out lower. I don't know. I think it's interesting. And then also you have Peterka and Quinn, but both those guys have somewhat faded. I think we've seen the last probably a month or so. Like Cousins has played pretty well. I won't say without them, but like it's not like a Cousins problem with that line. In my opinion, it's more of like Quinn and Peterka have kind of struggled. I don't know if like they found him out, but like every time I feel like Peterka has a one-on-one move against someone right now, he's struggling to, get in position to create a scoring chance, and while having possession of the puck. Same thing kind of with Quinn.
Right.
So I think it's interesting with Meyer. Like I feel like if you add him, he's 27, so he kind of fits the age range. He's a little bit older than Tuck. So it's not like you're adding some.
Well, he's also an RFA, and then you got to think, what do you have to give up to get him? Probably first round pick, probably some prospects. I mean, not saying we can't afford to get rid of these picks and prospects, but I think you need to. I'd rather get a defenseman than a forward. I'd rather use his assets to get a defenseman.
I think that's where like the interesting conversation gets had of like all year we've been really pro Chikrin. Like
I remember when we talked about him initially.
That's been the move, but now like it's interesting from my perspective. Like from my perspective of like it's always been Chikrin because he's cost controlled, left shot D-man, top 4 D-man, does like a lot of things that you could change your lineup with.
Just to interrupt you here, if we were to get Chikrin, like, are you okay with having your top 4 defensemen all be left shot defensemen?
That's the only thing.
Yeah, because they can play the right. Like Dahlin's proven he can play the right side. I think Chikrin's been playing the right side a little bit too. So it's not like I don't know. I'm not one of those sticklers that gotta be like we gotta be 3-3.
No,
but
I would agree with that. I think truthfully, he's definitely top of the list. If you were to do anything, I think you have to because you've proven your offense is quote unquote the TNT halftime analysts always like to use the word elite. We have an elite offense. It's just our defense is, we get down to Bryson and Labushkin, and it's like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like we just have no depth. And when we hit, Chicherin, whatever his name, however you pronounce it, I'm not positive. I think he would be a huge asset to the Sabres in the sense of just depth, like, having every line be solid out there, at least mostly solid,
Yeah. I think what would concern me, the reason why I'm starting to become maybe slightly pro Meyer is because I think he's going to be cheaper to acquire because he's an RFA forward. So there might not be a lot of people that are in the market for those kind of guys. Like Chikrin's cost controlled 2 years at like under $5 million. I want to say that makes him incredibly valuable for that type of player to be under $5 million. Like Meyer, his qualifying offer, I think is 10 mil. Like there's not a lot of teams that could pay that.
Right.
So then the pool of teams that are going to be bidding against you or not. And I think the Sabres easily out of anyone, mostly in the entire NHL, like they could outbid anyone. Now, I'm not saying they should like go like nuclear and do like 2 firsts and a legit prospect. Like, I'm not saying that, but like if you're talking about New Jersey, like what is New Jersey's best offer that they're willing to give? Like, they're not going to probably trade Holtz, maybe. They're not going to trade Hughes. They're not going to trade Nemec. Like, I think the Sabres could be. I mean, like Savoy, I think could be available.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to trade Coolidge because I think he's been their best player from that jet. But like Oslin, Rosine, like there's like 3 forwards that are like better than probably any prospect New Jersey has to offer. And then if like you protect your first round pick, add maybe like a second round pick / B tier prospect, like that probably gets the job done.
Right,
So
and
compared to
having
Chikrim, which is going to be first roster player, good prospect, decent prospect, like that's probably 4 parts where it's like a lot more.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I
And then
mean,
like
when
with
you
the
have the number 1 prospect pool in the NHL, you have a lot to play with. I mean, truthfully,
Also, it's also from my perspective, it's like you don't have enough spots for all these prospects. So at one point, you're going to have to trade some of them. Why not trade some of them now? You get a guy who's 27, elite offensively, 30 goal scorer since he was age 23, has pretty good, an average defender, so he's not going to kill you. Like pretty good 2-way game. Like I think he's like the guy that comes into your top 6, relieves the pressure off Quinn Peterka. And then he's another guy that if you sign, I mean, you'll probably trade for him, you have a contract extension, even if it's like 5 years at $10 million. Like I know that's a lot, but in retrospect, if you think the cap's going to jump off, you're going to get off Skinner's contract. If you think you might be bridging Quinn and Peterka, even if you just bridge him and say 2 years, $8 million, 3 years, $8 million, like again, like that's really not that price of a pay for an elite player.
No, I would 100% agree with you. Honestly, right now you need to be looking for ways to solidify that defense, and I think that would be, like you said, giving up some of those prospects. It's not the biggest deal in the sense of our team is hitting that hot spot right now. They're running hot, you know what I mean? But they're very inconsistent. But aside from that, I mean, I don't know. It's definitely going to be intriguing to see what exactly they do, if anything. I hope they do something because, I mean, like we mentioned right away, I think they have to, um, just to elongate their season and play competitively throughout, February, March. That was the goal at the beginning of this season. Remember, we talked about it, just playing competitively in March and when it matters, not throwing Owen Power out there for 8 games at the end of the season because we're not even close to a playoff spot. Like we're heading right for that, where we want to be, and I'm excited to watch that.
Yeah, I just think like if they're gonna make us, the reason why I think Meyer is more like easier of a target for the Sabres is everything I've said. Plus he's an RFA, so they probably want to get rid of him at the deadline. They don't want to wait to the summer because we saw, I think 2 summers ago, like the offers for RFA forwards are really bad. Like Reinhart got traded. I know like it turned out really well with Coolidge and Levi, but he got traded for a goaltender that was taken in the 7th round the year before and the 20th overall pick. Like that's really not a great haul for a dude that ended up putting 80 points up. So I think the
Right.
Sharks going to avoid that, where the Coyotes can wait with Chikrin. It's also, I feel like the Sabres are going to keep Middlestat and Olsen, which I don't necessarily. I mean, listen, you've known all year. I'm not the biggest supporter of those two, but I think that's the right decision for how well they're playing. But I think though one of those 2 guys are probably gonna have to move out of the top 9 for certain stuff.
Yeah.
And like that's like the move where I think you trade one of them for a defenseman, but that move has to come in the off season. So that's why I think the Chikrin one, if they were to make that move, wouldn't happen at the trade deadline. So then you wouldn't get reinforcements for this season. Like if they were making a this season move, it would be the forward.
Yeah.
Because
No,
like you think of like the long term, your forwards are fine. Short term, right now, your forwards might cool off. That's why you add the forward. Like the defense is just going to be. I mean, some of the bomb guys, like Bryson, hasn't played too bad ever since he got scratched. Labushkin's been pretty okay.
Yeah, the scratchy kind of woke him up, I feel like, a little bit. Put his mind in perspective of, okay, I got to play. I got to do something out here other than turn the puck over. But
Took the puck over and be buried in like to my net.
yeah, he gets bodied around, bullied quite a bit. I will say that.
Small,
yeah, little dude. Who was it that got flipped over into the boards the other day? Is that? I'm trying to think. Like he got shoved in by the Blues. I don't know. I forget who it was.
I don't remember.
Can't place it. He
All,
got
all I
flipped head
know is
first into the board.
your buddy Hinestroza is playing pretty well for
He had a goal.
a goal. So taking off the trade rumors, before we get into like all the prediction stuff, Owen Power finally did score.
2.
It was a nice goal, game winner, and then he has scored another nice goal. So, I mean, potentially, 2-goal streak for Owen, big guy.
Yeah.
Remember we were there the last time he played. When he played St. Louis, not last time because they played earlier in the year, but
No, we were there the last time at home.
We were last season when he played St. Louis and he got worked by Tarasenko on a play. That was tough.
Yeah.
But speaking of the Blues, I guess the Sabres, Ryan Miller. Just want to quickly did you guys catch that ceremony?
I did, and let's just say the Sabres, if they figured out one thing, it's how to memorialize old players. That was a great ceremony. They did everything right. I mean, even seeing Hasek on the board is really cool. The walk to the center of the ice was a little long. I will say that's the only thing I said was it took a while. The music had to repeat a couple times. You heard, so I mean, they took a little bit, but no, having all the old guys there, along with Adams, Terry Pagula, and his old coaches, like that was the right way to do it. RJ talking to, that was really cool. He's still around and he's sharp as he can be at his old age, so it's really cool. I think they did a good job. I mean, I don't know. It's cool to watch for sure. But a lot of people say they remember him for the red jerseys, which of course, but like us, it's always the slug, the Buffa slug, I feel like,
Yeah.
But Mike, what do you think about the ceremony?
No, I thought it was really good. I'd like seeing all those old players, and I know Dom was texting me. We were talking during it, and it was like really, like I said, it was how nostalgic it was to see all those guys, because like this is the first player that his numbers retired where I actually like watched him play,
right,
and like remember him playing. So like seeing all those guys that he played with, like that's the team I grew up watching. The team, when I think of the Sabres, like that's the team I think of.
Yeah,
so it was just really,
Pominville.
Yeah, so it was just really cool to see all those guys.
Yeah, it was definitely unique. Obviously, poor Tim Connolly never could, be in good health. Everyone was roasting him for having crutches, for some kind of injury. But no, it's definitely cool. I don't know why, but it was definitely funny that it kept showing like the Winter Classic
with the hat on and everything.
The Winter Classic and the USA. Like I honestly, I gotta be honest, I did not know he was the MVP of the Olympics. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool seeing like talking to other people like around the arena. It was kind of cool when they were talking about how prideful they were that like the best American player at the Olympics was our guy. Like I don't think we'll truly ever experience that again. I know Tage, if
he continues,
Gary Bettman decides to stop being so anti-Olympics.
Guys, no one tanks. No one tanks.
I'm gonna have a moment of ADD, but I'm gonna briefly, as you said about no one tanks, I will be excited if they return to Buffalo for the Winter Classic. It's probably coming up soon. He talked about when they get the new stadium, so I think people were suggesting maybe like the 20th anniversary of the game. I think that would be a cool touch. But no, it was weird. It was weird with the Winter Classic in the USA because it's like, yeah, they lost that Winter Classic in a shootout, and then obviously, unfortunately, he gives up like the golden goal.
Goal to Crosby.
Yeah. I just, I don't know who he hates more, Sidney Crosby or Milan Lucic. I think everyone was a little disappointed he didn't say like some random like F Lucic comment. But no, I mean, he was just that guy back in the day. I think he was like everyone knew who he was.
I have a bobblehead of him in my room from one of the games with the Slug jersey on.
First ever athletic jersey was a Ryan Miller jersey, so number 30. So, also him winning the Vezina, having a dominant season he did, kind of staying, and then, it was definitely a nostalgic moment. With Vanek, he was like my favorite player growing up. So cool to see.
Yeah, you see him whispering to Craig Anderson after he dropped the puck the second night.
Some guy called Poundville was there.
Some dude. Yeah,
I do wonder though. Like he's the first guy that's got like his number retired and has been inducted in the Sabres Hall of Fame. I do wonder. I'm not saying like Vanek or Poundville will ever they won't get their numbers retired. I do wonder when those guys get inducted and like this. Like
The Hall of Fame.
if you had to guess, like, how many more players from that era get, like, I mean, Vanek, Palmville, I think, is that it?
That's all I mean.
I could see like a Briere,
Yeah.
Drury. I could see that.
I forget that they really were on the team for that
Maybe
long.
Derek Roy. He was pretty good for a little stretch there.
Yeah, Derek Roy, yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, that team was so much fun.
it was.
Lindy.
I hope we're heading back towards
Oh
that.
no, you know what? No, Lindy deserves. Lindy, honestly, like, I don't know how you retire some, like, a coach. Like, you know how, like, the other thing for RJ. I really truly believe that Lindy.
Well, there's things for the Knoxes up in the rafters too.
Yeah, Lindy should get retired. I don't know, like, it's. I mean, it's kind of awkward because he played for the team, but, like, not his number, but, like, there should be something that goes like LR, and then how many wins he had with the team. I do truly believe once he's done coaching. I mean, if he's ever done coaching with the way he's coaching with the Devils, but
I'm glad he's doing good with the Devils. Love Lindy.
Lindy is the man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Lindy is the man. All right.
You think he told Craig Anderson to retire when he like went up for that little handshake hug thing? He was like, "It's time." Like, he's like, "You're older than I."
I can't remember. I'm gonna like butcher this. Ryan Miller was still playing last year, wasn't he? Or was it the year before he retired?
He retired in 21.
Yeah, you're right. He's
2021.
So honestly, it was pretty quick for them to retire his number and all that stuff.
Yeah. I feel like you had to do it quick. You know.
Well, I mean, I just
look
look
at the Rangers. They did it quick with Lundqvist.
That's true. I just look at
Canucks are pretty quick with the Sedins.
You know,
Bobby Lou in Florida.
I guess it's more proactive than it has been because, like, I remember Hasek obviously got traded in 2002, but like when he retired, I don't know. Did he retire? Didn't he?
He retired in like 2009, 8.
He stopped playing. Yeah, he stopped playing in 2008, but I don't think he retired until like 10 or 11. Like, I think he kept.
Think about Yager. You got to think maybe 68 goes up in the rafters like Pittsburgh, but he's still playing in Czech. So
that's what I'm saying. I think Hasek was a little bit like he was playing overseas or whatever, if I remember. But like even that, like he just got.
Plus, he's like a politician too. So
that's true, I guess, and also like the way he left Buffalo. But even Miller, like, I mean, I think people do like. He kind of left Buffalo a little bit on a sour taste too, but
just a tad.
But he's welcome back anytime.
Yeah, I mean, all those guys got chewed for. Like Vanek left, Matt Molson, always remember that. Traded 26 for 26, then gave 5 by. I still can't believe they traded for Matt Molson, traded him away, signed him to like the world's awful contract, and then what?
And then loaned him to the Ontario Reign.
I'm trying to remember Palmville. I like remember who I can't remember. Like Larson was traded for Palmville. Wasn't that Nate Hackett? Not what was that goaltender name?
The first one. Yeah, it was Matt Hackett.
Matt Hackett.
I knew Nate Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett is an offensive coordinator for the Jets now.
I knew we got him back by trading Foligno.
Yeah. Yep. And we got Scandella. That was an interesting trade. Ennis.
Is it
another blast from the past?
Yeah. Jeez.
And Tyler Ennis was our best player and put up 20 goals.
Oh God. Remember when Tyler Myers was actually good and won the Calder?
Yeah, because he was paired with Henrik Tallinder, and then we got rid of Tallinder, and he sucked.
Hey, Henrik Tallinder, man.
Henrik Tallinder was good.
Is it prediction time?
Those guys.
Brian Campbell was good. Tony Lumen was good.
Tumulin?
Newman was good.
Too bad Brian Campbell will only be remembered for one play and one play only. The hit on the RJ Empire.
RJ Empire? Did you say Empire?
I did say Umberger.
RJ Empire.
That hit, or well,
it's the greatest hit in hockey history.
If we're in a positive sense, it's that hit. If we're in like a real negative one, it's puck over the glass in Game 7. But
okay, you know what? He was the only one out of all our defensemen to stay healthy the entire playoff run. So
I'm just saying
that team would have won a Stanley Cup if none of their defensemen got hurt. Guarantee it.
I still think it's bizarre now that people can like. I guess it's kind of accurate, but like people compare like these Bills teams to those Sabres teams. I find that to be kind of bizarre. I guess 05-06 I would disagree with. 6-7 I guess is accurate because they won the President's Trophy and then they fell behind 3-0 in that conference finals and lost in 5 to Ottawa. Like they got crushed.
Ottawa was just better than us, but we would have won the Cup in 06 easy.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah.
Easy.
100. Yeah. Easily won the saddest moments in Sabres history. All right. So, wow, that got real depressing turn.
Okay.
So, talking from our predictions from last week, No one hit on anyone. Thompson led the team with 4 points. I'm sorry, 7. He had 7 points. I don't know why I wrote 4. You know what? Because Olsen had 4 points last week. I just was too lazy to change it. Olsen actually led the team in goals again with 3. There was a couple other people with 2. OP had 2. Cousins had 2. Krebs had 2. So it was a solid scoring week. So Michael, I'll let you start. Who were your predictions for this coming week?
I think Jeff's going to go on a hot streak scoring. I think he's going to get his scoring touch back. And I think Cousins is going to lead the team in points. I think he's going to get some juice flowing for Paterka and Quinn, honestly.
Joseph?
I like it. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. All right. I think this guy's really started it off. I think he's hot. I think he sparked something. I'm going power and power. I think he's gonna light it up.
Man.
I think he's going crazy. It's a far off prediction, but I'm going with it. Power and power.
I'm gonna go Tuck and Darlene.
Yeah, solid.
I still can't believe Rasmus Dahlin is not an all-star.
I can't either.
Well, it's flawed because it has to have one person from every team.
This is why like the NHL does so many dumb things.
It's like getting a participation trophy as a kid. Everyone has to have an all-star representative. Really? No.
There's not Pro Bowl representatives for every
the Pro
NFL
Bowl
team.
does.
Columbus really deserve an all. Well, okay, Johnny Gaudreau actually could deserve an all-star, but like some of these teams, the Flyers really deserve an all-star.
Listen, that's the one good thing the Pro Bowl does is that they don't there's no quota for every team.
Does Detroit really?
There's no defenseman in the Atlantic. Like, why? That doesn't make any sense to me. They're telling me like Charlie McAvoy too. He's having a good year. He doesn't make it. Like,
no, it's flawed.
Nah, it is
whatever.
Flawed. It's that the lack of Olympics.
Mm-hmm. How many games do we have from now until next pod?
I assume so. We have a game tonight, actually. So, well, you guys are gonna be hearing this probably a little bit late. So
I'm gonna hear it tomorrow. Or no, maybe I'll get it. I might.
Face off's in an hour, so we're probably not. But Saturday they play in Minnesota, and then they return home against Carolina on Wednesday. So that game, we probably do a pod for that game, I would assume. So we probably only have 2 games, and then actually the All-Star break happens after that game. So
I think they go 2-0. Sorry, I just jumped right in. I think they win.
Say 1-1.
I'm gonna say a 1-0-1.
Still getting points. I like that.
I think they're gonna lose in overtime today because I think they're gonna get Hellebuyck for a second straight time in like a couple weeks.
Probably.
And then they played pretty well against Minnesota last time. So
hey, you never know. I mean, it could go anyway. I'm hoping it goes the Sabres' way. I'd love to see a 2-0, just getting closer and closer to that wild card spot, like further solidifying. So I don't know, but is that it for the Sabres, fellas? Anything else you want to chime in on? Or is it Would You Rather time?
It is the Would You Rather.
It is, and it's my time for Would You Rather. So
it's Joe's time.
Let me ask you this. So this is we're gonna talk here NFL playoffs. Last year, 13 seconds happened, right? Last year, let's actually specific example here. Think back to that Titans game, okay, from last year where Allen slipped and they lost the game because they didn't just kick a field goal and go into overtime, right?
All right.
Would you rather ensure overtime, right? Reestablish, reevaluate, go into overtime, or risk the loss but win in regulation?
So you're telling me, do I want to be John Harbaugh then?
Pretty much.
I don't want to be John Harbaugh.
Like, would you want, if it's like, let's do a different scenario. You're not on the goal line.
Okay, so it wouldn't be like you have a 2-point conversion or you kick the PAT to go to overtime.
No,
not doing that one.
I'm talking touchdown or field goal to tie it to go to overtime. Kind of where the Chiefs were in 13 seconds last year.
I'll go for the field goal.
Or do you just ice the game?
I'm like,
is this a playoff game or a regular season game?
We'll say playoff.
Oh, definitely overtime.
I'm a little bit confused. Like, where am I then? Like, if you're saying touchdown or field goal, you're like kind of goal line. Like, why would I?
27-yard line, 3rd and 10. You can kick it, or you can try one more. You know what I mean? Like,
definitely field goal because overtime playoffs you get.
But you've got like 5 seconds left. You got one play.
At that point, the field goal. No, I'm not doing. Well, okay.
I don't know. I feel like I'd take the shot into
Okay,
the
no,
end zone.
I feel like am I allowed to like
Yeah,
tweak
whatever. Tweak it, whatever you want to do.
instead of saying you're at the 27, you should say it's a goal to goal. You're at the 3-yard line.
Okay.
Say it's whatever, 4th and goal at the 3. You could either kick the field goal or you go for the win. I truly do believe that it does matter somewhat situationally. Like, if I was playing Skylar Thompson, I would kick the field goal because I would be pretty confident I could get a stop and win the game. But if I was playing another elite quarterback, I would probably go for it. Because I got Josh Allen, and if I can't get 3 yards, I kind of don't deserve to win the football game at that point. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it would matter like my opponent per se, and like if I felt confident, especially I would go for it 100% if I was on the road though. If I was on the road, I got nothing to lose.
Like you're an Arrowhead and you've got Josh Allen.
If I was on the road, I would go for it. I mean, obviously, if I'm playing against a bad quarterback, I feel like I get stopped. No, but like definitely 100% on the road. If I'm at home, I'll question it, and also like momentum of the game. If I feel like I'm playing really well, I probably just want to go to overtime. But if I feel like, man, I was up, I don't know, like 11, and all of a sudden I'm down 3, like I probably would go for the touchdown because I wouldn't trust my team to play better the next couple minutes if I could get one play for 3 yards.
Yeah,
I'm sticking with the overtime take.
I don't know what about you, Joe?
Me, I'd go for it. I don't open.
I mean, you are the guy that onside kicks him man all the time. And
yeah, so I would go
surprised.
for it. I would go for it. I would go for the win right then and there. I wouldn't. If
what would be your play?
Quick slants probably.
Yeah,
you know, just something, or maybe even a screen. You know, like a elusive screen. You know, something like that, where you wait around for a few seconds, run the clock down, and go for it. Kind of how Josh did. Like he just ran it to the side and then do something. But I wouldn't draw that up. That'd be on the field, of course. But yeah, I'd go for it. 100% quick slants.
Yeah, I think I would just have my running back in the backfield and spread everyone out. And if
Not
they
bad.
blitz, I jump off. If I blitz, I have my running back dump off. If not,
or do you fake it? Or do you go for a fake PAT? You line up and you go for a fake PAT.
That's dumb. I've never. It's like that play when the Bucks Bills last year when they did the fake punt.
Oh my god!
It was like at that point, if you're gonna do a fake punt 4th and 2, just have Josh out there. Like,
yeah. No, you're right. Have Josh Allen hold the ball and then do a fake PAT. Then you might have a better shot. But Mike, you're lining up for the PAT or the field goal.
Oh yeah, I'm taking the field goal. I'm going overtime.
All right. Well, I think
I'm guaranteed a possession in overtime in playoffs. So
now you are in playoffs. You're right.
Exactly.
Didn't get to see that at all this year.
That's why. Still time.
Well, I mean, he's still good. We got 3 games left.
Is that in the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
playoffs.
Yeah. The Super Bowl is in the playoffs.
Yeah, it is playoffs. Yeah. So
Atlanta wishes that they could have had that rule.
Oh,
please. Okay, for the one team in history that does not deserve to like go back on that rule is the Falcons. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they blew that bad. It's trivia time though. Mike, take it away.
So we'll do some positive Bills playoff question. When they won their championships in the AFL in 64 and 65, do you know what team they beat? It's the same team both years.
Cleveland?
Would that be
I'm thinking Cleveland. Actually, no, it might be the Chargers. No, I'm gonna say Cleveland. That's good.
I'll go Dom's off answer. I'll go with Chargers. We'll see how that plays out.
That was a good choice. It is the off answer Chargers.
Oh my god, Joe.
What a piggyback on my end.
Were they in San Diego in the 60s?
They split. One was home, one was away.
Were they called San Diego back then?
Yeah, they've always been San Diego.
Yeah, until the LA wanted the money grab.
I didn't know if it was like they were like, you know how like the California Seals. I don't know if they were like
the California Chargers.
Yeah, no, I didn't know. So I thought that my 1960s
Chargers.
AFC is not.
No, so
you gotta just remember what teams were in the AFL.
Weren't the Cleveland Browns? Weren't they in the NFL?
Were they?
That's why I was confused. I just didn't know. I didn't know what team was.
Because I know it was like the Bills, Chargers,
Raiders,
you might be
right.
Chiefs, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, second question, Sabres. Who is the most playoff games played in their Sabres history? That was worded really poorly. Sorry.
What player?
Yeah. Player, skater.
Gilbert Perreault.
Yeah. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
no, it is Gilles. Is 90. Because
Wow.
remember, we talked about this last time. Like, they're in the 70s and 80s. They were a consistent playoff team. Just recently, where they just
Is that the
don't make
same
playoffs.
regardless if you put goaltender?
I'd have to look at goaltender, but
Probably not. I mean, Hasek would probably be close because they made the playoffs like every year when he was the goalie.
yeah. So it's Perot though.
The AFL teams in 65 were Buffalo, New York Jets, Boston Patriots, Houston Oilers in the East, West, San Diego Chargers, Oakland Raiders, Kansas City Chiefs, Denver Broncos.
He has one more game played than Craig Ramsey.
Tough.
So if
It's
you were
really
interested,
And then that was an interesting point.
I'm sure you know this one, but like I just thought it was a fun one to have. Who was the first quarterback in Carolina Panthers history?
Oh, dude. You know what?
Did you just say you thought we would know this one?
No,
Yeah.
I think I do know who it is because I remember seeing an ESPN like highlight reel about this. I think I'm right on this. Was it Frank Wright?
It is Frank Reich.
Oh my god.
The only reason why I saw that is because he was hired by them. So
Yeah.
When
my
was it?
God.
What was their first year? Was it 96?
1995.
95, because I remember seeing
Their
like
first touchdown
Boomer.
pass.
Yeah. I just remember he played like crap when they played the Bills.
Yeah.
Well, Frank Reich was a backup quarterback, so
He had one good game. One amazing
Houston
game. Mhm.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. That's his career right there. That's what
Hey,
anyone
listen,
talks
man.
about.
Listen, man. Listen, we have to be positive and talk about that, or talk about how he was on the other side of the Leon Lett fumble.
Yeah.
Did you see Leon Lott just got fired by Dallas?
Leon Lett was an employee for the Dallas Cowboys.
He was an assistant defensive line coach.
Oh, man.
no!
And then Dan Quinn's staying. He wants to win a Super Bowl in Dallas.
No,
That's
or
what
he's
he
just gonna
said.
promise the job if he gets if McCarthy gets axed.
Probably.
Yeah, I would assume that's probably it over anything. But without further ado, that's going to finish it off for this episode of the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Callie, and as always, I was joined by Dom Loss and Mike Marino. And Dom, how do you always end these, buddy?
Go Bills, baby.
Go
Go
Bills.
Sabres.